Alrighty guys, it is Qaaman here today, and today we have to talk about the Dragon Ball Super superhero movie. And I'll be honest with you, I mean, just saying that just kind of gives me PTSD going back to when they used to call Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan. I mean, man, that was probably the worst title for a transformation in Dragon Ball history. But either way, forget about all of that. We're gonna talk about this movie. We're going to have a full conversation, and at the end of this video, I have some really good news planned for all of you guys, so stick around and listen to that. But either way, in this video today, we're going to be dropping a classic Qaaman intellectual rant, where I'm going to tell you guys why Dragon Ball Super, in general, and this movie should completely erase Dragon Ball Z from existence. And I will explain to you exactly what I mean by that, but in order for you to fully understand, sit back, relax, and enjoy some classic story time as I talk to you about something that has been persistent in the Dragon Ball community for a number of years. So if we go back to when Dragon Ball Super was originally announced, right? When it was originally announced, Toriyama said that one of the reasons why he chose the time period that he chose, being specifically after Goku defeated Kid Buu, but then before Goku met Oob, was because he felt like the characters were more active and were basically in their prime, and he thought that that would be the best time period for a story. As Dragon Ball fans, we were starved for content, so of course we were happy with that, and we weren't really expecting much more out of it because it was originally just a movie with Battle of Gods. But as the franchise eventually became a TV show, as Dragon Ball fans, we had to kind of close our eyes a bit because essentially, if we want to get more Dragon Ball, we kind of have to overlook the fact that at the end of Dragon Ball Z, Bulma basically told us that Goku hadn't seen anybody in 5 years. And because of that, since Goku hadn't seen anybody in 5 years, that basically gave an impression that everybody was living in peace over the 10-year time skip. So if there weren't really any fights going on, then obviously Goku wouldn't have been interacting with anybody because he would have no need to. Everybody was living in peace, and if you look at how Goten and Trunks softened up so much, they clearly were living a comfortable life. So as a result of it, we have to accept that all of these dangerous events are happening in a time period that was originally supposed to be peaceful, but because we love Dragon Ball, we accepted it. But here's where the problem now started to evolve. And the problem really evolved when it came to Goten and Trunks. Because, as you guys would have known, Goten and Trunks never aged. Now I get it. Dragon Ball is a shonen series. And because of that, it tries to appeal to young boys or teenagers. And as a result of it, having younger characters, especially since Goku is now an adult, can keep children for the future. It makes sense. There's no need to age Goten and Trunks if you plan the franchise to continue, because of the fact that at the end of Dragon Ball, or shall I say Dragon Ball Z if you want to go with the anime adaptation, Goten and Trunks were adults, but it was okay because it was at the end of the series, so it didn't matter. It was a closing. But because there's basically, we don't know how much Dragon Ball will continue in the future, then we have to go into a situation where Goten and Trunks will literally just stay kids for the sake of the franchise. And we don't really care much about Goten and Trunks because obviously they're not major characters anymore. But the problem is that now, with this Dragon Ball superhero movie and with Pan aging, as we've seen from the scans, she's basically the same exact age that she was at the end of Dragon Ball Z. And when you start to do the math, you start saying, wait a minute, if she's basically the same age that she was at the end of Dragon Ball Z, then that means that Goten and Trunks should now be adults. And granted, we have not seen Goten and Trunks yet, and the movie isn't about them. There have been no scans or anything revealed about them. But at the same time, though, let's just think about this. At this point, Dragon Ball Super has basically equaled the entire 10-year time skip from all of the events with Zamasu and Moro and Granola and Frieza coming back to life and the Tournament of Power and Battle of Gods, everything has now basically eaten up the entire 10-year time skip. And if you want to have a story that makes sense at this point, you basically should just say, okay, guys, we're going to be honest with you. Yeah, the 10-year time skip, it didn't really happen. It just kinda existed in the original Dragon Ball franchise, but it doesn't really exist for Dragon Ball Super. Well, now, guys, we have opened up the biggest can of worms that you could ever imagine in your lives. Because you know what's gonna happen now, right? All of the canon cops are now going to be coming and saying, well, guess what? If Dragon Ball Super is basically writing off an entire 10-year time skip and saying it never happened, then what does that mean about the canonicity of Dragon Ball Super? Well, Toriyama's involved, but it's not part of the original manga. But Jocko, the Galactic Patrolman, was written by Toriyama, but Jocko, the Galactic Patrolman, was an original part of the Dragon Ball manga. So if Toriyama did it, doesn't mean it's canon, doesn't mean it's not canon. What about Broly? Well, the movie was originally there, but then Broly now exists in Dragon Ball Super form. And now we are getting into an entire era where it's like the canon cops have to arrest a lot of people. Because ultimately, we are just accepting that we're going to take the show for what it is, and I am excited for this new movie, don't get me wrong. But I gotta be honest here. I think it would be best if Dragon Ball Super was just honest and said, hey guys, we're wiping out the entire Dragon Ball conclusion that you originally watched, and we're going in a whole new direction where we don't have to follow any restrictions. We can have Goku training with Oob and then Oob fighting with Goku against future characters and so on and so forth, and it will not be a problem because we have the guts and the balls to move off of the 10-year time skip and completely expand into new territory. We're sorry for those of you who like the original series, but we're taking the series in a new direction. Dragon Ball fans would be pissed, but guess what? They'd get over it, because you know what? If there's one thing we've learned about Dragon Ball fans over the years, guys, it is that Dragon Ball fans are probably the most forgiving fans ever. Yes, they can get emotional. Yes, they can get angry. But Dragon Ball fans love the franchise so much that they will watch Dragon Ball GT. They will watch Dragon Ball Super. They will watch all of the bad parts of Dragon Ball and suck it in and enjoy it painfully because they love the characters in the franchise so much. That's how Dragon Ball fans truly are. And if you're honest with us, we can't be that mad at you. So ultimately, at the end of the day, guys, I think that this movie has a lot of potential. I really like the fact that they've talked a lot about having like a slice of life type of story mixed in with action scenes. It reminds me a lot of what originally happened with Battle of Gods, where as compared to Resurrection of F was a show that had a lot more combat in it, and it had almost no slice of life at all. And I think when Dragon Ball does that, it kind of like adds more to the lore of the story, which is why I actually really loved the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, because what that managed to do was that it gave us a lot of historical context to what was going on with the Saiyans and the other characters, but then it also gave us the action scenes that we wanted. Like, Dragon Ball Super Broly was really the perfect mix between giving us the fight scenes that we want and then also giving us like the slower paced out scenes in the beginning. And that's why I felt like that was probably one of the greatest Dragon Ball movies ever. Granted, it's about Broly, and a movie about Broly is never going to be that deep, but it was fun and it was very entertaining, and if you watched it in theaters, it was a blast. So ultimately, that's all I gotta say for the Dragon Ball part of things. And now I'm gonna get into the good news. So great news, guys. I have a new computer coming in, and I plan to upload regularly coming up very shortly, because I have done a lot of things in my personal life to sort out my situation. I fixed a lot of things behind the scenes that you guys don't know about, and that has done a lot of great things for me. And I think now I can focus on YouTube. I have a lot of creative ideas, and one of the great things about not uploading as much is that a lot of your ideas kind of just stock up. You know, it's kind of like, hey, I have all these topics written and we can finally put it out. And I really think, guys, that this channel is going to go in a completely new direction. Obviously, I'm still going to be the host, but I have a lot of great fun ideas coming for you guys in the future, and I look forward to seeing all of you in the comment section below. So thank you guys so much for all of your support and patience. You have been awesome, and I look forward to making more content with all of you guys in the future. And look forward to some potential live streams that might be coming your way soon.